Good morning, church. I think we'll do things a little different this morning. Is that okay? That's the first time I've gone to a church and introduced this family. So, are you guys more comfortable if I, talk more about maybe the nitty-gritty details about the school? Your name? Mike. There's another PowerPoint. I know I'm probably gonna drive you crazy in that flash drive. I know. But it's got, I didn't even think of it, because sometimes I go to churches and
Mike, calm down.
There's another PowerPoint called Update 2324. Because sometimes I go to churches and it's kind of hard to gauge, because sometimes I go to churches and they're like, hey, just, talk for 2 minutes, and how do I wrap up everything about our mission in 2 minutes? But then sometimes, like this is the first, I introduce his family. And so that update PowerPoint, it's got some more of the, more of the fun details about the mission. But I will still, I'll respect our time this morning and admonish, Scripture and the Holy Spirit, and make sure that we leave here with wisdom. Huh?
We got all day.
You got all day.
Can we show that?
You should have said that.
Can we show that little video, that 5-minute video?
Yeah, I've got it too queued up. But let me introduce myself, and then we'll fire up that video whenever he's ready. And what was your name again? I'm sorry. Mike. Okay, so Mike and Mike.
We're a church of Mikes.
Church of Mikes. Good deal. But hey, my name is Clay Mitchell. I actually grew up in Grundy, where the school is, and my story's, it's embarrassing sometimes to tell it. But, I grew up in Grundy, but I always thought, because the public school I went to goes right by a mountain mission school. You have to drive by it every day. My bus went by there. When I started driving, I drove past there. And I grew up just thinking Mountain Mission was a private school for rich kids, because that's what it looks like, from just driving by it and not really, asking anybody or, putting any thought into it. It just looks kind of like a little private Christian school. And so when I was in high school, like any church, when they find out you play an instrument, they reel you in somehow. And so they found out I played drums. And in their chapel, they asked me to come play drums for the chapel that we have on campus. And I still remember walking in and being like, why are the staff members were in church with us on Sunday, and it was like, why are the teachers here on Sunday? And so quickly, after I started asking questions, it was like, oh, this is a mission. And I had no idea. It was such a humbling moment to realize that, hey, this thing that I literally grew up 5 minutes down the road from has been here for 103 years. Like, how have I missed this, right? And so it was such a humbling moment from God, realizing that I was living in such, ignorance almost. And so, but what God poured into me from that was such a love for the school. And it was a love that I kind of ignored for a while. Because when I started playing drums in chapel there, it was a group of guys at Mountain Mission School that really poured into me. And, the path that I was going on was not, anywhere related to God. And they really steered me on a righteous path. And, discussions I had with those guys, they really discipled me. And I ended up going to Bible college because of that relationship. And it was one of those, it is a God moment where, even a place like Mountain Mission School that's meant to serve underprivileged children, God's still going to use it to serve and admonish someone who has privilege like me, right? And so that's my relationship with the school. And so after I finished serving as a youth minister for a few years, God called me back to Grundy. And literally the same day that we moved back, the job came open for church relations. And so it was like, how do I ignore it? I can't. You can't ignore something like that. And so I love the school. So anything and everything I tell you today, it's because I have such a deep love for what God is doing on our campus, what God's involved with, what God is doing there. It holds a deep and sincere place in my heart. Do we have that video? Is it queued up?
You want the video first?
Sure. I don't know if we're going to be friends after this. He's not going to like me too much. But yeah, this is a short video that tells a little bit about the school, and and I'll talk more about the history of the school as well. But
To let you know, he is the sheriff.
he's a sheriff of the church.
And then So I was literally about to live on the street. At that point, I knew I wasn't going to pass high school. Like I was planning on dropping out.
The place I come from is really not a safe place because, sometimes the Boko Haram always attack people at night, so people doesn't even sleep at home.
I come from like a big family, but like small income.
I've seen the difference, like in the standard of education I get from here.
If you could rescue children from desperate situations all over the world, where would you take them? To a place where they can feel safe and loved. A place where they can receive an outstanding education. A place where they can grow spiritually. That place is Mountain Mission School in Grundy, Virginia. For nearly a century, Mountain Mission School has been a lifeline for children needing a sanctuary. Whether due to the loss of parents, devastating poverty, or dangerous situations, children who have no hope have always found a welcoming home at Mountain Mission. We'd like you to meet just a few of the remarkable students here. Selena was lifted from extreme poverty in Atlanta, and now with her brothers and sisters, she enjoys the security of Mountain Mission School, where she also discovered a gift for singing. Mountain Mission rescued Nelson from the streets of Roanoke, Virginia, and now he plans to be a minister. Hansel from Columbia, South America, discovered that Mountain Mission allowed him to channel his basketball skills into a college scholarship. Ike came to Mountain Mission from Nigeria and became not only an athlete, but also an artist and a hero to the art students he encourages every day as an art teacher's assistant. Ebenezer was homeless in Washington, D.C. at the age of 5, the child of refugees from Kenya. He became an Eagle Scout at Mountain Mission School and now attends Dartmouth on a full academic scholarship. Mercy escaped from terrorist kidnappers in Africa, and today she's working to attend college and hopes someday to return to her home country to help others. These are just a few examples of what disadvantaged kids can achieve when given love, security, and opportunity.
Next year I'm going to the Ivy League school because of my mission. Rather than having to protect ourselves here, we can develop ourselves. There's no excuse not to succeed given all we have.
I knew that there were some days I just came out of the playground and I sat down and just looked at where I was. And it just got me to reflect on what life should be like, whether we could get along with each other. I just felt like if everyone could get along with each other the way we do in school here, I don't think the world had a problem.
So that's just a quick little, vertical slice of what the school's doing now, right? But the history of the school goes way back. 1921 is when our school was founded. And the history is, it seems like it's very similar to our founder. Mike kind of had a similar experience in the woods. But our founder, Sam Hurley, he was homeless. He had a mother, and he had, they squatted wherever they could. But they didn't have, he didn't have a father who was around. He was part of the coal mines, and he was gone all the time. And so Sam would just go out into the wilderness and forage for whatever he could find to eat. And whatever he brought back is what his mom would cook. And so they were eating lots of greens. And there's actually a book that details one of these stories, and where Sam had to make a fishing line himself, and he would just wait by the creek holding this fishing line and just, as quiet as he could and as still as he could, try to catch a fish. And if he didn't, then, he would have to go find something else to eat. And so that was the situation that Sam, our founder, was in. He was 10 years old at the time, and one night he decided to squat underneath a rock. And that night, a bobcat came and sat above the rock, and he heard it, and he just, knowing that he couldn't defend himself from something like that, he just clasped his hands together and decided to pray that if God, you'll keep me out of this situation, if you'll get me out of here, then I'll come back and I'll help all these other kids that are in the mountains with me, homeless. And so fast forward from that prayer to Sam. He became a successful politician. He became a businessman. He became very wealthy. He was very well off. In Buchanan County, he was elected as the county clerk. He was very influential and even tried to run for Congress at one point. But he had forgotten that prayer. In fact, he even earned a nickname at one point called Bad Sam, because he was kind of a rough character. His first job was working in a logging camp where when the men would get drunk in the evenings, he would be the one that was paid to break them up. And so he had to toughen up real quick. And so he became kind of a tough character. And so after he had earned all this wealth, all this influence, he kind of forgot about that prayer to God until when he was at the courthouse one day in Buchanan County. A few boys came up to him and asked if they could stay with him that evening. And so that same day, he went and purchased the land that is now still Mountain Mission School. And so for 103 years now, we've served, serving orphans, especially when it was still, at the beginning it was orphans. And now we're serving, children and families from different countries, families who come over here into the States, but that American dream that they were thinking would happen just never accumulated. And so we're serving families that are in poverty, families that are in tough situations, grandparents trying to raise 4 or 5 kids by themselves, and they just can't do that. That's our situation now. And so you guys as a church and me being family, I just want to, maybe get a little less formal, and I'll show you some pictures. Is that okay? Of some recent things that have been going on. And so this first one, I believe, is our accreditation. We're accredited through the ACSI. The ACSI is an accrediting body that is Christian-based. And so it's a pretty big deal for us and for you guys as a church that contributes to us. The ACSI, they require of our staff, whether they're teaching math or science or social, whatever topic they're teaching, the teachers have to prove to our accrediting body that they're incorporating a Christian worldview, right? So these students that we get that are coming from families that are underprivileged, coming from situations of poverty or neglect or abuse, yes, we're giving them an education. Yes, we're giving them a home, but more important than anything else, we're giving them a saving faith, right? Even when they're in math class, they're getting an incorporation of here's how Jesus is involved in this. Do we have any more of those pictures?
Is that the right one?
No, it says ACSI on it. And then there should be some other pictures of like our graduation from this last month. Oh, short update. That one right there. Sorry, that's my fault. Yeah, the one that says short update. That's the PDF of what I'll say. Go back there and I'll show you on the flash drive. Third from the top. Up one more. There you go. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, the ACSI, we actually had the president come and speak at our graduation a couple weeks ago. His name was Larry Taylor. And it was another one of those moments where we get somewhere on campus and they think we're a private school for rich kids. And so, yeah, it was a cool moment to be able to show the president of our accrediting body, like, hey, yeah, we're teaching kids as if we're in a private school setting, but these kids are coming from underprivileged places, right? And this is actually the senior class that just graduated. There's about 16 of them, and on Sunday, the students lead chapel. So our campus minister, he's really good at training some of our kids to play keyboard and get involved in playing an instrument. But some of them sing, and they walked out of the church service, and then unplanned, we didn't know what was going to happen. They all ran back up on stage to sing the last song. So it's family on campus. The kids, they grow up with each other. A lot of the students, they might leave for the summers or for holidays, but these kids, they become family to one another, even though they're not biological. They've grown up with each other. They live in the residential halls as they're growing up. So it's a big deal when they graduate, because it's like they have 20 brothers and sisters and they have to say bye. So it's cool when they get to do fun stuff like that. And I think this next picture is Milka. Milka is from Tanzania. A few years ago, we had a handful of Tanzanian girls that came to our campus. They were from an orphanage school in Tanzania, but the school had not had the grades prepared. They didn't have teachers for the higher ed education. And so they somehow got a hold of us and were like, hey, we have 32 girls. And we're like, okay, yeah, we'll take them. And so, now, that group of girls is starting to graduate. And so I'm not sure where she's going to college, but the entire class this year is going on to college. And again, that's another, important thing for us, is that we're trying to break that cycle of poverty. Kids that come to campus, they're coming from places where generations behind them has no upward mobility financially. And so we're trying to help them go back to their families with degrees to be able to break that cycle, right? So that the generations beyond them can raise themselves up. And more than just taking an education back with them, they're taking a faith back with them that wasn't in the family, a generational faith that we hope to plant a seed, right? This next picture is our littles that graduated. This is always a cool one to show because it's cute, right? This next one is Fran's house. So we used to have this building used to be toddler hall, and it used to be filled with children. It seems more nowadays that people aren't applying for little babies to come and live on our campus. But I pulled pictures from yearbooks in the 80s, and toddler hall used to be filled, 40, 50 babies. But that's less so in recent years, and so we decided to renovate it to be high school girls, because we had the middle school and the high school girls all in one building, so it was getting very cramped. And you can imagine the difference between high school girls and middle school girls, right? And so the high school girls got their own dormitory, their own residential hall. Back in 2020 is when it was finished. But yeah, the main building on the bottom is the original building, and then we built on it to the top. And so again, for you guys as a contributing church, your benefits, what you give us is going to house children that don't have, wherever they came from, they didn't have a safe place or even a place at all to sleep at night. And so when they come, they're getting a little bit of luxury, really, when they come to stay on our campus. This next one is Hurley Hall. So this is now where the littles live. It's attached to our cafeteria. And so it is much better than what toddler hall used to be. And it's you can imagine trying to move 40 babies to lunch, right? Even though the building's only 20 feet with that many babies, is like it's a circus, right? And so we're now prepared. This building is attached directly to the cafeteria. Even though we only have about 4 or 5 littles right now, we have tons of space. And let me say to you guys, as a church that supports us financially, support us with sending some kids to us. I can't know this area like you all know this area. I can't know the families and the relationships that you all know. I can visit as many times as I want to, but I'll never be able to develop those relationships that you guys already have. So we have room. We have plenty of room for families that need our assistance. We don't take custody. We don't charge tuition, and we're able to do that because you guys are supporting us as a mission. We don't charge any tuition to families that qualify for, in that poverty line. And so we have tons of room. We have about 100 empty beds that need filled. You guys, you know those kids before I ever could. You know those families better than I ever can. So please, know that when you're thinking about referring a family to us, we've got the facilities, we've got the space, we've got the staff. I show you this just to give you confidence as a church. Like, hey, use us. Thank you for your contributions financially, but let us be a tool for you. When you go out and talk to your community, and you know that family might need some help. I'm also in charge of admissions, and so when you refer a child, I'll make the trip out here to come and talk to them. If you want me to get on the phone with them, come out and talk to them in person. I mean, that's what we want to do. Families nowadays need that trust, right? We need to build that trust with them. Where not so much in the past, but now families, they just want to know, and they want to see where their children or where their grandchildren are going to be, right? They don't want to make that tough decision of having to, quote unquote, not really give up, of having to send their child away that either they can't afford or they don't have the ability to take care of them. They need to have that trust with somebody that, hey, where they're going is a safe place. They're not going to lose custody. It's clean. They're going to get every meal and more. Right? It's a safe place for them. So let me, please, use our mission to serve your community. This next one is the kitchen. So we didn't used to have kitchens in all the residential halls, but post-COVID, we were having to take boxes of food to every floor for every meal. You can imagine there's 8 buildings, or there's 8 halls. Doing that 3 times a day for each individual hall, it was a nightmare, right? And so our president even, the president is my father, and so I got to see it firsthand and experience how much hardship it was for him. I mean, he was sleeping on his couch in his office because he was so, involved with the school during COVID. He literally slept on his couch in his office before going home because he knew he had to get up early, take the breakfast boxes up. It was a difficulty. And so I show you the kitchen to say that, hey, every hall now has its own kitchen, just in case something like that were to happen. Each hall is able to self-sustain itself, right? But more so, it's kind of nice to have a kitchen, right? This is our auditorium, so we're not using our chapel building right now, even though we want to. We do contemporary worship, but it's just too loud in the chapel building. And so until we get it renovated and able to handle loud music, then we just can't use it. But we use our auditorium right now, and I like to show this picture to say that we have a campus minister. His story is so cool. He was chasing a girl from Arizona. Her youth group was coming to Mount Mission, and he liked her a lot. But she made it the stipulation, we can hang out for the summer, but you got to come to Mount Mission School, right? And so he didn't care about the mission he was coming to. He just wanted to hang out with this girl. And so, joke's on him because 10 years later, he's still on campus. And, 2 kids, they're married now. And but he is our campus minister. He became our campus minister about 4 years ago. And it's one of those God moments where we never could have recruited and hired to get someone so well equipped that God equipped, right, to be able to do what he does. He gets the students so involved in worship, students who come from places that was never an opportunity, or that was never even a thought of, oh, I can be involved in church, or my faith is more practical, right? I can actually demonstrate my faith in front of my peers. He's been so good at getting our students involved in leading worship and leading communion for us, doing devotions. All the students have devotions on their halls every night. The kids are now getting involved in that, doing it themselves, right? Because, even if they say something silly, they have that chance now to say it out loud and realize how silly it was, right? So it's good to have him be able to lead our students in this way. And for you all to know that as a church, if you refer kids to us, they're going to get this chance to be in front of their peers, to stand in front of a group of a body of Christ and demonstrate their faith right before. This next picture, he also hosts revivals for our students. And so last year, he was really good at getting some outside speakers to come in. We had the campus minister from Virginia Tech. His name is Mike Stoller. He's not with Crew, he's with the campus house there at Virginia Tech. But he had Mike Stoller come in and preach for 3 days. And we had different worship teams come in and lead worship for us. And this was just a picture of one of the nights where last year we had 3 kids get baptized during the revival. So again, it's one of those moments like, hey, you refer kids to us. We're baptizing some souls. We're not. I say just. Alongside housing kids, giving them a place to be safe, to feed them. We're teaching them a saving faith in Jesus. This is actually Corey. This is one of the kids that got baptized. His name is Benjamin, but yeah, that's Corey. He loves what he does. He is so involved. I don't know how else to say it. He's just an absolute blessing. This next one is Kyle Crafton. He is our new choir director. He's from Indiana, and his story is also cool. It's another God moment where we went without a choir director, and we tried to recruit people, and it just wasn't working out because, like I was telling some of the guys earlier, we're such a unique place where, yeah, we could hire anybody to be a choir director, but maybe they don't have that Christian worldview, right? And so we don't want to do that because then we're risking, our mission, what we are. And so Kyle just showed up from a church in Indiana with a work group. And then a week later, he calls us and says, hey, I don't really have experience in this, but I kind of want to be the choir director. And we took a risk on it. It wasn't like oh, this is going to be great. It was like, well, he's offering to do it. And we were kind of desperate. And 2 years later, it's been probably, I don't want to say the greatest choir we've had, but what a blessing for him to, we had 46 kids in the choir. And it's mandatory for him. But you can imagine, a bunch of high schoolers. When it's mandatory and the director isn't loving it, they don't love it, right? And you can tell when they sing that they don't love it. But he gets so involved with them, jokes with them. He'll turn to the audience, turn to the congregation and introduce all the kids, talk about, hey, this is Josiah, this is where he's from. And they love him. So it's a big blessing to have him be able to lead our choir. This next one, this is some of our littles. We have I don't know what you call it, a petting zoo, I guess. We have a greenhouse up on our ball field that opened up a couple of years ago. And recently we've been introducing some animals up there. And so this was a group of our kids with some of the chicks, and we have some goats as well, and there's a cat that lives up there, just kind of hangs out. We don't know where he came from, but he just kind of guards the place. Yeah, the greenhouse is up there as an elective. It's a class for the kids, but it's kind of turned into, there's also some animals up there that they interact with. What's this next picture here? So this is the last picture, I think. And this is the one that whole right side that you can't see right there is empty. It's filled up over here, but we can fit another 100 kids in the cafeteria, or more. And so I like to show this one as the last to say, again, thank you for supporting us financially. We literally cannot stay open without you all, but we've got space. We want to serve kids here in our region. Yeah, we serve kids from all over the world, but we don't want to neglect, because there's problems here as well, right? There's family issues going on, in our own county. And so we want to use you all, and use us. We want you all to be our ambassadors here in Emporia. Wherever else it is that you're from, please use us. Use us in whatever way, and make referrals. Give me a call. I've got a card out there. We'll have a conversation. Sometimes I get referrals from families and they're real nervous about it, and they're weary of what we are, And I understand, people nowadays are more weary about, children and where they're going. But let us be just that lifeline for you. A lot of churches don't have, they don't have the end-all answer of poverty, and that's okay. Because we want to be that tool for you guys. If we can be that tool for you all in Emporia, then we feel like that's how we can succeed at our mission. We don't want to just serve children overseas, right? But in our own backyard, in our own neighborhood, because we want this region to thrive and to be well. It seems like we get a lot of referrals in like the Maryland area and more metropolitan areas, more dense areas. But I know there's kids here that need us. And I think you all know that there's kids here that need us. So please, please use us. And before I end with our message, is it okay if I just ask if there's a question?
Sure. Do whatever you want to do.
Is there a question? Because I know I've missed something. There's definitely something I've missed. Is there some question that I can answer from somebody? Yes.
How are you able to handle kids with disabilities,
We're-
physical or learning disability like autism or?
Yeah. We're not equipped to handle students with level 2, level 3 IEPs. We just don't have the staff for it. That's a goal. We actually, some of it's actually my mother. She is the special ed coordinator for Buchanan County. And so we use her just because she's married to the president, right? We use her as a resource to, to review and see if our staff is capable. Just because, the staff we have, they're teachers, but they're also hall parents. And so, for the state requires so many ratios, right? If you have 20 kids on a hall, then there has to be 3 adults for every, We don't have that. We're a nonprofit. We don't take any government assistance, and so we can't meet those state requirements. And so I say that to say that it's a big challenge if we have 2 staff on one hall with 25 kids, but then 2 children with disabilities. Until we figure out, we don't have the solution right now. But that's our situation right now. Is why we can't. Is because it's just not. It's hard to ask teachers who teach during the day, who then have hall duty to watch 25 kids, but then throw in 2 children with disabilities, and it's like, you really need 5 other adults there. But us being a nonprofit, we don't have to meet those ratios right now. But it's something we're working towards. It's a hard answer, just money-wise. It's hard to find staff because we don't pay a whole lot. We're a mission. Our starting salary is $26,000, which is not much. But it's because you live on campus, right? You're a hall parent. You don't have a mortgage. You don't have rent. All your meals are provided for. So $26,000 it sounds low, but it's hard to ask someone who is so specialized in a field like that to say, hey, yeah, we'll pay you this amount, but you have to live on campus. So that's why we rely so much on churches like you all for referrals for even staff members. Is it's hard to find just a graduate at a college who that $26,000 doesn't. It's not a lot. So we rely a lot on churches to give us referrals from people who really they treat it as a mission, the employment. So the answer is no right now.
Next question.
Yes.
Sports program, I know you, is it a full sports program? Do y'all participate in playing against counties, public schools? Or?
We scrimmage with public schools, but we are, I forgot the name of our district, we play other Christian schools primarily. We're in the NAIA or NACA, I can't remember.
You got baseball, basketball?
We have basketball is our primary sport. We have baseball. It's new though, so they're still learning. Baseball is not a very popular sport in a lot of the countries that these kids come from, and so it's a big learning curve for them. But we have soccer, basketball. We tried volleyball, it didn't work out, just because the girls weren't very interested, and then baseball. Going cross country.
Is it anyone that students, can they stay during the summer?
Yeah, we're 24. Our enrollment.
That's what I.
Yeah, 24/7.
Because if you take children or children come from a home that they need to get out of,
Yes.
Obviously you wouldn't want at the end of school you put them back.
Take them right back.
Yeah.
No, we're 24/7.
Because
Yeah. During the summer we have about, I'd say about 40 kids that stay on campus, and those are the ones that really have nowhere else to go back to. And even the ones that do leave, they're going back to aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpas. And sometimes it is the parents that they're going back to, but the parents, they're just in a financial situation that they just can't keep them. For example, this isn't financial, but right now we're looking at a girl who, she's from Chile, and she came over to the States with her dad because her mother had died, and she didn't have any relatives in Chile that could keep her. But then when she got here in the States, her dad got into a motorcycle accident and is now fully paralyzed. And so, where else is she going to go? And how is he going to keep up with her, right? So yeah, she has a loving father who was able to keep, take care of her, but now he's paralyzed and he can't work, so he can't support her. So that's where we can come in and say, hey, you keep custody. You're not going to lose your child to the state. You'll know where she is. You can take her if you're able to, whenever we're not a permanent solution. If that dad needs 6 weeks to recover, if that family needs 6 months, 6 years, we work with anything and everything to time-wise to make it work.
What if the children, when they come, they need counseling?
We work with
emotional.
We work with a local Christian therapy group called Healing Waters, and they come once a week and schedule times with the kids. So we want someone full-time, but again, until God sends them to us, we rely a lot. I say it like it's a negative. We rely a lot on God. Because again, I know I say it like that's a good thing, right? But, our recruiting efforts is so difficult in trying to find someone that's going to live on campus, do all those things, and be specialized. We're asking for somebody with a master's or a doctorate to be able to do that kind of work. Hey, but you have to live on campus, so, and take a missionary salary. So,
Has to be a college.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's difficult for us, but again, we're relying on God just to, if and when He has someone to send us, He'll send them our way.
Clay, how much property does the school have?
At one point, we owned 1,500 acres, but, over time, especially during the Depression, they sold a lot of that property to keep the school afloat. So right now we have about 250 acres, but developed, it's only about 40 acres of property. And it's kind of scattered, somehow. My dad isn't even the president. He doesn't even know how we got this property. In Cedar Bluff, that's near us, we own, I forget, it's a lot of acreage. It's a farmland. Someone donated it to the school, so we just lease it out to this farmer out there. But, we earn $300 or something off it. But, there's a lot of just property that over the years people have just donated to us. We have some churches, sometimes that, unfortunately when churches close, we've had a few that will donate the property to us and ask us to sell it for them, and just, they'll donate whatever they sell it for to us. So people donate property to us a lot, but right now it's about 250 acres. Is there any more questions? Anything and everything? We're an open book.
How many churches support the mission?
In total, I can tell you it's a lot. I ran a report last week, and just within the state of Virginia, the Tri-Cities, right? So Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee, or not Tri-Cities, but all the states that kind of border us. Currently supporting, it's somewhere around 500, probably more. But again, that number can be anywhere from $25 a month to some of our larger supporters are $2,500 maybe. So it ranges. And our budget is about 40% of our budget. It comes from just solely churches, and then individuals, and then some foundations that support us. Any more questions?